Welcome to Grow Overload. I'm Anthony, and we have a security issue that has been out now for a little bit. It was published by Binarly Research on November 29th, and more information has come out since it got out of embargo, I think, December 6th. But it is a fun one. Basically, it's can potentially affects, they say hundreds of devices, but I'm going to say millions of devices out there. And this is one of those issues that happens with computers and all the software that's on it. So let's take a look here. That we have a little bit of information here. I'll leave this link in the description. So they're the ones that have identified this. Now this is dealing with kind of some of your UEFI firmware, and it's going to be impacting a lot of different players out there, basically on x86 and ARM-based devices. Now there are some scenarios where you may be okay, but for the most part, if you have a device, my guess is that you'll be receiving an update sometime in the future here. Um, as a kind of hit the device, they said, today firmware contains an image type, and these parsers significantly increased attacks surface compared to previous research that has been done in this area. So that's what they were kind of focusing on here. So you see the logo that pops up in a lot of your on your computer on boot up. That could have that's where kind of this attack takes place or is involved in, and from there this can determine or have a huge side effect. Now the reason why this is probably even bigger than maybe some other things is that it doesn't require that you have local access. This can also be done remotely in there. Now they've through this, I'm going to summarize a lot of this stuff. If you want the articles there, go take a look at it. They did some good research here, and hopefully these will be fixed quickly. But you take a look at this, and the graphics image parsers that are there into the UEFI system, they were having a hard time kind of getting getting into it until their team had an aha moment, thinking that the supply chain security problems from the previous work of OpenSL's usage. So they kind of had an aha moment, and they said, what if the graphics image parsers embedded into system firmware do not update frequently and use not only outdated but also customized version of common image processing libraries? That is a problem. As a developer myself, staying up on libraries and making sure you have the latest is a dedication. You have to be dedicated to that, or you're going to have issues down the road with this. So this is where they kind of got into figuring out LogoFAIL, and it's a set of security vulnerabilities affecting different image parser libraries used by the system firmware and various vendors during the device boot process. These vulnerabilities are present in most cases inside the IBVs, which is independent BIOS vendor. So these are the companies that provide the BIOS, and reference coding not impacting a single vendor but the entire ecosystem across the reference of code and devices vendors where it is used. So you can kind of see here, there's a little description. LogoFAIL is not a silicon specific but can impact x86 ARM devices. LogoFAIL is UEFI and IBV specific. So this is across, AMD, Intel, ARM, all those different ecosystems out there. Now, they originally discovered LogoFAIL on Lenovo devices with Inside, AMI, and Phoenix reference codes on the board and reported these vulnerabilities underneath that code. Now, they've been reporting these and getting it out there and trying to get these, fixed, and they found more vulnerabilities which are listed here. Now these are embargo until December 6th. Heap, based buffer overflow, never want to have those out of bounds. Read, one's high, one's medium. What were the ones up here. Oh, there's more down here. But how do they kind of work? So you kind of see here, you have the UEFI firmware, the image parser, and the kernel mode, verified boot, and then the hijacking comes when they're going to get the um, get into the logo file. Now, this what's interesting is that you have secure boot, and it basically bypasses secure boot. Now, um, they say secure boot here, and just a little tidbit here, including so these images can parse out during boot during the vulnerability and can be triggered, and the attacker controlled payload can arbitrarily be executed to hijack the execution flow and bypassing security features like secure boot, including hardware-based verified boot mechanisms like Intel Boot Guard, AMD hardware validation boot, or ARM's trusted zone-based security boots. So they are finding a way around that. Now, you know, they said that, you know, full details on this, and, you know, go into full details, you know, that's a whole nother video. This is just me kind of getting this information out there because it is a big deal, I feel like, in taking care of these. So they have, this is their attacks, and these vulnerabilities can compromise the entire system's security, rendering below the OS security measures like shade of secure boot ineffective, including Intel boot card. This level of compromising means attackers can gain deep control over affected systems. So here's a whole, you know, list of those uh, attack vectors. LogoFAIL. Now LogoFAIL includes kind of all these, and here we go. We got some high ones, and this is just, you know, where we are here. And they do have a YouTube video on this as well, which devices are, you know, there, a lot of them, and this is the harsh reality of software, is that it takes a lot of effort to making sure that you go through and clean it, you know, updating those third-party libraries, those binaries that may have had security issues discovered, update those and get those updates out. You know, this is another aspect of going out and saying, hey, I need to actually, you know, check my BIOS update from time to time, um, and get that implemented or get that updated on my system to try to, you know, stave off maybe some of these attack vectors that are out there. This is, you know, maybe another reason why maybe we should look at something different, something, you know, more open source to be able to get those things updated or have more eyes on these little, you know, BIOS mechanisms out there. There is core boot, right, out there. Maybe this puts more effort into that bucket out there, and more people want to say, hey, let's go after and use this. But I think we're coming up, and, you know, I think I've said this before. You can just harden against stuff. You're not going to be able to prevent everything. So what are we doing to help, you know, harden against it? Now, more eyes on it, you know, an open source model might be the better option, and having more parts of the industry, maybe all three, you know, of these industries that create something like this on it together, you know, maybe with their own customizable stuff, you know, what is it, InStyle, Phoenix, and AMI, they all get their own stuff, and they do all their customizations down for, you know, people that use their, you know, BIOS and stuff like that, UEFI, etc. And maybe that helps out, having there and having more people in this. But you know, that was one of my thoughts of, we go down the open source route. We'll see about how this will continue forward, because I'm sure that we are just, you know, starting to see getting into some of these, you know, secure boot, you know, UEFI mechanisms. I'm sure that there's probably other ways out there to get into it, and it's only a matter of time before that, you know, happens, and then there'll be another update, another, you know, fix out there for this. But it is that we have to go out there and fix it, and not so much of we're going to be able to prevent it, and get that fix out there as much as possible to make it hard to harden this against another attack vector. So let me know where you stand about this, and what you think is, you know, when do you think updates will be out. You know, I'm interested in this because, well, one, I have a lot of computers, but two, you know, I do have a framework, that the 12th gen, that the Forgotten framework, that hasn't had an update in a while. Now you have more of these out, and I bet you they're running into an issue where, you know, they've had so many features and so many things that are added to this that it's going to make it even harder to get out. They're just going to have to dedicate some time, test it as much as they can, and get that update out there for everybody so that there is a possibility to stay up to date on these, right? My wife has a AMD version that they could probably get out a little bit quicker because there's probably not as many changes in that change list that they've already done. But these are the things when software stacks up and then or changes stack up by a release and you haven't fully tested everything and then you have a security flaw, it makes it harder to get out the door because you got to do even more testing and you have that security flaw that is out there. So with that, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for taking the time to help support Gray Overload and helping this channel grow. I really do appreciate it. It really does help out the channel to like, share, subscribe, and hit the bell icon. And until next time, God bless.